Hello, Sunandan. We are live.
Okay, great.
We are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of Officially Unofficial, the other side of a successful leader. I'm Sunandan Bhanja Chaudhary, and with me is the main man, as always, the evergreen, ever smiling, ever authentic host of the evening, Anu. As you guys know him, Dr. Annurag, Batra, chairman and editor of Businessworld and Exchange for Media. Anu, I think we've so far been pretty big, we've been a hit.
You know it, Sue.
You know what? I was thinking, Anu, that we should take the next step.
And, oh, no, Sue, what have you done?
Well, you know what? I have tried to compose a theme song for our episodes.
I will regret asking this, but could you play it for us, Sue? Since you put in so much effort, you might as well play it.
Anu, I thought you'll never ask, huh? I'm going to play the song now.
Wow, Sue, that's technically a song.
I take it you are not a fan of this, eh?
Well, Sue, it's more like this. They say if you love something, you should let it go. In the name of all that's good in the world, please let that song go away.
Okay, fine. I know what you're talking about. Besides, the show is doing well, so let's not fix. If it fix anything, if it ain't broken, right?
Absolutely. Actually, Sue, I think we should have a theme song, but I don't think you should be the one singing it or playing it.
I'll try and not take that personally, huh? But I think, I know what you have in mind. You're referring to our next rock star of a guest, Niren Chaudhary. Niren, hi, welcome to our fifth episode.
Hi, good morning from Boston. It's great to be here.
Fantastic.
Morning, Niren, welcome.
So much.
Thank you.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Sprichst du Deutsch oder sprichst du...
Must be early morning in Boston today. What time is it? About 8:30?
It's not too early. It's 8:30.
Great.
Well, our hair has done far too many things in life. So I'll name just a few of his career highlights. Niren Chaudhary is currently worldwide president and CEO of Panera Breads. He was formerly the president and CEO of Kreme and president worldwide for KFC. If I go on, there is a lot that I can share about him. But very recently, he was hanging out at the White House with President Trump at the round table with restaurant executives. You may also have seen him being played by Farhan Akhtar in the movie The Sky is Pink. And he's always gigging around with some band or the other. Basically, Niren is everywhere. And listing his accolades may mean cancelling the rest of this show and me talking about what he has done.
Yeah, we've got an hour. We can't have that. But certainly, Niren has been driving Yum worldwide in India. Of course, he's done studies here as well as he's done a management program in Harvard. He's from Stephens with economics and FMS Delhi. But what we're going to do today is hopefully we're going to have a great fun with him. Niren, what do you think of my song, by the way?
Which song?
You said it all. Oh well, I was going to ask you how much.
Stick with the day job, Sunandan. Come on.
Tell me one thing, Niren. I know your love for music, and I thought it would be good to start with that as well. Who inspired you, Niren, to pick up the guitar, by the way?
Well, this is a great story. I met my wife, Aditi, when she was 16. Oh, no, she was 14. I was 16. And I was a pretty odd-looking, short guy trying to woo this terrifically beautiful, stunning girl. And I didn't have a chance in hell. So I decided that the only way to her heart was possibly music. And she inspired me to pick up the guitar and also to learn how to sing. And it worked. So I've been married to her for for a long time.
Fabulous. You know what? Well, by the way, we in my family, I have a couple of musicians, and I thought, I'll get them to, my knowledge of music is that much only. So I'll get them on the line, I'll get them on screen to ask a few questions that, you may be able to answer. I cannot answer them. So here it goes.
Hello, Niren uncle. Arjun here.
Hi.
Sunandan's youngest son.
Hi, Arjun.
I hear you're a fellow Eric Clapton fan. So naturally, I have a bazillion questions for you, but I'll narrow it down to just 2. Eric Clapton during his Kreme days, or Eric Clapton in his solo career? Which one do you prefer and why? Now, follow-up question. Why is he nicknamed Slow Hand? Still trying to figure that one out. If you know the answer, please let me know. And I'm going to proceed to devour this banana off camera. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Clapton is one of my favorite songwriters, and I think my connection to him is because of we share a common loss. I lost 2 of my daughters, and he lost his son. So I think therefore I just love his music because I can hear his emotions through what he writes. So I like Clapton. I've always liked him pre and post. And why he's the slow hand, I have absolutely no idea. So, but I love Clapton and his music.
Absolutely. I think he puts so much emotion in these songs. It's unbelievable. Now, I've got another question for you, by the way.
Elder son Arnav, and I had a question. So playing the guitar for me is personally like it tends to take me places. I tend to zone out while I play, and I just lose track of time. And honestly, it's very relaxing for me. So for you, I wanted to know, like, do you play the guitar for the same reason you started back in the day, or has that meaning changed for you? Like now, would you like to sit on a balcony and just try to tell the stories with the guitar instead, or any other instrument for that matter if you play? But has the meaning of you starting music changed over the years? I would love to know that. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Well, for me, music is a very important creative expression of what's important to me. And I think for me, it's a never-ending journey of trying to get better. And I think I have to be interested in music. I have to constantly get inspired. So even now, I take lessons. And it's funny that over the years, my teachers are getting younger and younger. And it's scary how good they are, even when they're just 20, 25 years old, and how long I've been playing, and I'm not nearly even half as good. But I think I look upon music as a never-ending journey of trying to just understand more and get better and have a deeper appreciation of how much richness there is in that area. So it's an exploratory journey that I deeply enjoy.
I've heard you play many years back. I don't know how much you are playing now, but certainly if you've been practicing and playing, would love to hear you sometime. But tell me one thing. What's a better feeling, playing a concert in front of hundreds of folks or meeting your yearly targets?
That's an interesting question. I think if I think about it, they're both very similar. If you put it in perspective, it's a metaphor of a stage in both cases. In both cases, you are surrounded by people that you love and you like. And your music will be only as good as your fellow musicians. And I think the joy is in what you're able to create together, So I think to me, being on stage is a metaphor for working in an organization and achieving things with your team. And both are equally rewarding. And I think the other thing is, I actually enjoy both. I think life is too short and you must have fun in whatever you do. And for me, work is not work. I do feel that I'm in a concert every single day when I step up into work with my fellow workers, and we're trying to create music.
More like an orchestra, no, Niren? Because both. Yeah. Even in a work situation, more like an orchestra, and you're the conductor.
Yeah, well, I think of myself as more of somebody who's a catalyst to help unlock the potential in that
Right.
orchestra so that it sounds really phenomenal together.
I heard you play tennis as well. I wanted to ask you one of the most coveted questions of in all tennis, and that's among the three, Djokovic, Federer, or Nadal. Which one who's your favorite and why?
Well, I think I like Nadal for his tenacity and resilience.
Mm-hmm.
I like Federer because of how classy he is. But my all-time favorite is another Swede called Wawrinka. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes, of course.
And the reason I like Wawrinka is because he has this long tattoo on his arm,
Mm-hmm.
which I find very inspirational. And this
Okay.
tattoo says, ever tried, ever failed, never mind, try again, fail again, but fail better.
My
And I
God.
think it
Brilliant.
sounds like a very long tattoo that probably wraps around his entire body. But it's a tattoo on his arm. And I think I find that a very inspiring quote. And I also like him because he doesn't always win, I
That's
think
true.
the names you took are champions that everybody loves. I think Wawrinka turns up every single day and tries to be the very best version of himself. And he may win and he may not win. But the point is he's trying to do his very best, and that's why I like him.
And
Isn't that a quote by Samuel Beckett?
Huh?
I think Wawrinka's tattoo is a quote by Samuel Beckett.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
Niren, I want to ask you, these are the current, to have a decade of these three rock stars of tennis is, possibly, I don't know when we'll see, and they've performed for a long period of time. They've been there around the same time. But if I had to ask you, who are your favorites from the past? Say, John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, or a Mats Wilander, Ivan Lendl, or if you remember a player called Ilie Nastase,
Yeah.
Tell us from the oldies, who's your favorite?
So I think I always like people who are classy, who are like true gentlemen of the sport, who are humble, who are compassionate, who are champions on and off the court. So Stefan Edberg,
The cool Swede.
yeah, those types of people, or even Jimmy Connor, they're like classy. So I'm really drawn to people who are very anchored and very humble, and they don't take themselves seriously; they take the sport seriously.
And then one more thing, today we are talking to you in the backdrop of COVID, and everyone is talking of resilience. The country needs to be resilient, leaders need to be resilient, individuals need to be resilient. What does resilience mean to Niren Chaudhary? I mean, you lost two of your daughters. One was 5 months born, the other was almost 18. And so what does resilience mean to you?
I think I really feel that the human experience, indeed all of our lives, is nothing but resilience in the face of adversity, and to have the tenacity to get up and keep going and be the very best that you can be every single day, no matter what's happening to you, by focusing on what you can do and not what's happening to you. That's what it means to me. So I think I can't help the cards that life deals me, but I can certainly help how I play those cards every single day by being the very best version of myself.
Okay.
Andy Murray's just made some comeback. After being out for 2 years.
Andy Murray, I think I've always had a mixed opinion. I find him to be a mama's boy. And I think he complains too much about his injuries. He's always got excuses why he's not able to win. Either he's too tired or he's not fit or something or the other. So I love people who just take accountability, who don't complain, and try to be the best that they can be. Those are the kind of leaders that really players that I feel drawn to. Yeah.
Are there any other life lessons to learn from these guys?
I think Roger Federer is a huge inspiration for me because I think he's a true champion on and off the court.
Yeah.
And I think just the way he conducts himself, the respect that he has for other people, And he's always, I feel, competing against himself, you know, and that's what I like about him the most.
Niren, we have music and we just talked about sports, and you were a sports guy as well. But a little birdie told me that you are also into martial arts.
Yeah.
This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how you find time. Do you even sleep, Niren? How do you find time for these things? And all these things are what's made you and shaped you as a person that you are today?
Well, yeah, it is true. I've been doing martial arts, Shotokan karate for the last 30 years. I started it, actually, I was inspired by Bruce Lee. I don't know if you remember way back then, Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enter the Dragon came, and I was like, I signed up to the nearest dojo, and I was there in Panera Road, and I was, practicing. I think the one thing I have in my life, which I feel very committed to, is that once I decide to do something, I don't give up on it, So if it's music, I still have music in my life. If it is sports, I still have sports in my life. So whatever I pick up, I constantly try and stay committed on the course and keep trying to get better.
You got a double black belt, I believe, no? Isn't it?
I don't know what a double. I have no idea.
I heard so much about your martial arts training. Somebody said double black belt. I said I must ask him when I meet him next.
Well, I think to be honest, let me tell you a little story which will put everything in perspective. My wife says I'm just a paper tiger and that I do all these things, but I'm absolutely useless. And when I was dating her and I was doing martial arts, we were traveling on a mudrika once, and she was being Eve teased, as you tend to get in a mudrika in Delhi. And I decided to unleash my martial arts training.
Wow!
I was standing on the footboard of the bus, and I tried to kick this individual, and what happened instead was I fell out of the bus. So I fell out of the bus.
Interesting story.
It was not a crowning glory, I have to say. My wife was not impressed at all. So I think that's, so it in some ways, perhaps all of this is just theoretical.
Yeah, true. Crazy things happen actually. But on a separate note, people still remember you in office, especially in your workplace, in terms of your inspiring sessions that you do. And you've been doing 4 sessions in a year when you were at Yum, 150 to 200 people, and things like how we win together, achieving breakthrough results, etc. What inspired you to do these sessions, Niren?
Well, I really think one of my future backs for myself is that once I hang my boots, the one thing I want people to say about me, that I was the very best coach in the world, that I helped unlock the true potential in people by, truly sort of helping them become the best version of themselves. So I think with that commitment, I think that is probably the most fulfilling aspect of my working career is investing in people, teaching people, spending time with them, sharing experiences and perspectives. And I have to tell you, I learn as much during my teaching moments as I actually share. So I think it's a two-way process, and I deeply, deeply enjoy it.
Amazing. You have taken away one of my questions, which I had later on. Is what's the legacy you want to leave behind? I think that answers that question as well, right?
Well, I think in terms of legacy, I want people to remember me as somebody who inspires himself and others to be the best versions of themselves at all times. That's my mission in life. Anybody around me, I want to help unlock my own true potential and the potential of those around me. That's what's most important to me.
From all these sessions, one of the things I gathered is that, there are a few Nirenisms, if I may call it. And 4 of them I can talk about, and let me read it out. Be like a windmill. Then I've heard future back strategy. Of course, achieving breakthrough results and always be the best. I'm dumbfounded, all of them, some of them make sense to me, but what does be like a windmill? Can you help me someone like me to
Well,
understand what a be like a windmill is all about.
I think I really believe it is about, seeking opportunity in a crisis.
Mhm.
And by building a windmill and not diving into bunkers, what I
Okay.
mean is that when there's a storm raging around you,
Mhm.
don't jump into the nearest bunker. Instead, step back and think of building a windmill so you can harness that storm and really create positive energy of that storm. And I think it's a very powerful metaphor and a mindset. And I think I'm proud to say that my team at Panera embraced that mindset phenomenally during the pandemic. And we have done things during the pandemic that no other company has been able to do because of this mindset of not just playing defensive, but offensive, especially when everybody else is actually jumping for cover, So I think it's a very inspiring state of mind to be in, to look for opportunities in whatever crisis may be happening around you.
Very relevant during these times, especially like you said, the pandemic. And I believe that 40,000 people who were on furlough are back in action at Panera Breads. Is that correct? I mean, that's something?
Yeah. We had to unfortunately follow thousands of people. They're all back, and I think there were many other moments where we've demonstrated this windmill mindset. For example, we launched a new line of business called Panera Grocery in about 10 days. Normally something that happens in like 2 years. 10 days we launched a new line of business during the pandemic, etc. Many other examples.
Niren, I want to ask you, while you inspire other people and you get them to be the best version of themselves, what inspires you? What keeps you going? Who are the people who inspired you? What are the books that have made you who you are, apart from whatever you experienced in life?
Yeah, I think, that's a great question. And I think I get inspired by people and my life coaches who believe in me and who are invested in me and want to help me succeed. And I think that really inspires me. But the way in which I seek out these life coaches is two dimensions, a dimension of the head and the heart. I'm actually inspired and drawn to people who are not only very smart, but they're smart with a heart, And in fact, I would say humanity of exceptional leaders, I find that very, very compelling. And I think it is easy to get intellect. It is very hard to get humanity with intellect. And I think whenever I see leaders who display both, I get very drawn to them. And there are many examples of leaders who happen to be my mentors right now, who display both of those qualities of the head and the heart.
Fantastic.
Paul Michael.
Paul Michael, that's right. Yeah, good Sunandan. I think so. Paul Michael he was the ex-CEO of Mars. He's a great mentor of mine. I think there's Peter Half, who's the chairman of the fund that I work for. David Novak. There's another one. Ranjay Gulati. He's a Harvard professor. So I have many. I've been very fortunate and privileged to be surrounded by many people who have a desire to be a positive catalyst for change in this world in a broader sense. That leadership is a privilege and a responsibility, and we all need to be force multipliers of good. And I think our impact and influence doesn't get limited to the confines of our organization, but must extend beyond. And I think these individuals, some of the names that I just took, are people who I've learned that from.
So David Novak of Yum.
Yeah, David Novak is probably my closest friend and mentor, and somebody I've been very close to for over 30 years, and he continues to be a close friend of mine. I'll share a quick story of David's, and it'll bring to life what I mean about compassion. ambition and compassion. So David Novak, I think he's a legend. Everybody knows how successful he is. He's a founder, CEO for Yum Brands. But here's the story. When Aisha passed away in 2015, and she was just 18, I was obviously completely heartbroken. Within 24 hours, the doorbell rings. I open the door and David Novak is standing there. And he's taken three commercial flights from the US. Here's a man who hasn't traveled, I think, in a commercial airline for many years. He's changed 3 flights. He's come to my home and just to give me a hug, to comfort me. And after 5 years, he turns around and he takes those 3 flights back and he goes back. I mean, how many CEOs in the world do you know would display that kind of human compassion to people that they work with? I think, as you can imagine, I would do anything for him. Would I do anything for him because of his intellect? Well, maybe. Would I do anything for him because of his compassion? Absolutely. And I think that's what we sometimes forget, that inspiration is a lot about human connection, of just compassion and showing the humanity that we have as leaders and a commitment that we have to the people that we work with.
Yes, and love, and spread the love.
Yeah.
I read Aisha's book and I was inspired by what she wrote. I remember you saying once the biggest virtue was courage, gratitude, and the joy and fulfillment in the act of giving. Did she help you develop a greater sense of spirituality?
I think Aisha is my biggest inspiration. And I think it is all because of her incredible attitude of always remembering to be grateful for what she had, even as she battled such difficult odds. And I've learned from her courage, the importance of gratitude, and most importantly, that the true joy lies in the act of giving. In fact, she writes in a book,
Amazing.
If you can't change your own life, there's always someone else's. And I think that has really impacted me. I seek healing in that. And I would have to say that my experience with my daughters has deepened my compassion and humanity and sense of empathy. And it goes with me and it is part of who I am. And I try and use that emotion to do good in whichever organization I'm in, whichever country I'm in, to make a difference that extends beyond the company that I serve.
And there, may I ask, I read the book when it came out and I gifted it to about 100 friends of mine. What is your favorite chapter in the book? For those who have not read it, it's a book you must buy if you still haven't read it. In My Little Epiphanies is the name of the book. It's a beautiful looking book. It's a short book and it will move you. So what's your favorite chapter in the book?
Well, I have many of her epiphanies that I absolutely love and I remind myself of. And I think the one that I shared with you is one of those. If you can't change your own life, there's always someone else's. Another one which I find terribly inspiring is about courage, where she says, pick the highest mountain to climb on, the dullest of days to shine on. Which means that every time that you're feeling somewhat defeated, pick a new mountain to climb on. And especially when it's a dull day and you're really not feeling up to it, those are the moments when you must look out for a new challenge, a new mountain, and do your very best to get to the top. You may not get to the top like Wawrinka, but I think all we can do is try our very, very best.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Niren.
There's a question I've been also wanting to ask you personally. I mean, the movie, The Sky is Pink. How did it come about? What's the story there? And can you elaborate as much as humanly possible?
Well, I think Aisha's story is a inspiring story. I think to me, it is not about sadness around why did she die so young. I think it is a celebration of how well she lived her life. In those 18 years, she achieved more than many of us do in a lifetime. And therefore, we wanted very much to capture that more for ourselves and hopefully share it with the world so that Aisha could come back to life in the hearts of millions of people. The last words that Aisha spoke to me when she held my hand, she said to me, Dad, I don't want to die. And I think that stayed with me, and I wanted to somehow bring her back to life. And I think this is a way in which many things came together and it actually happened. So for example, many coincidences, so before Aisha died, she wanted to see Shonali Bose's movie called Margarita with a Straw. But it was unfortunately not released, and she passed away without seeing that movie, but it stayed in my mind. So when she passed away, I was able to reach out to Shonali, who also had lost her son. And therefore we connected deeply as grieving parents. And she's a phenomenally gifted storyteller, Shonali is. And we connected with her, and she helped us bring this entire story to life in such a beautiful way. And if people who have not seen the movie The Sky is Pink, I would recommend a watch. I think it's a very inspiring story of my daughter. And through that, I feel gratified that she's come back to life to inspire millions of parents and children around the world.
Niren, before Sue brings in another segment, I want to ask you one more question. The last 5.5 months have been very trying for a lot of people. There have been loss of lives, there have been loss of livelihoods. People have had despair. They've had anxiety. They don't know when will this end fully. So what's your message to them? What do you have to say to them that can help them get through this tough time?
Well, I think it's a defining moment for all of us, and I think we are experiencing a duality of emotion. On the one hand, many of us are feeling fear, anxiety, uncertainty, but on the other hand, certainly true for me, and I'm sure it's true for many of the listeners, we're also feeling a sense of commitment to the communities, a deeper sense of connection to our families with whom we are spending more time than we ever have, a greater sense of accountability and responsibility for the world around us, that we are accountable and responsible to make sure that we leave a world that is healthy for our future generations. And I think so both are happening at the same time. So I think leaning into the positive emotions of connection, of commitment, of responsibility, and resolving, saying, okay, what can I do in my world to make this connection deeper and more permanent with people that I love? What can I do to serve the communities of which I'm a part of? And what can I do in my behaviors to impact the environment more positively going forward, so that we learn from what is happening and we emerge stronger and better from it?